Colonel Karen Sunshine Kristen, 726 OG Commander. For those of you I haven't met or who are new to the group, welcome to the April MUTA. We wanted to give some time back to our squadron commanders so they could be more flexible with their MUTA scheduling and get things done in the order that works best for them. Really trying to bring down that big picture where the big Air Force is going down to what does that look like in the 726 OG and what does that look like in your unit and what does it mean to you as a traditional reservist. So those of you who are wondering what our direction is, we have some slides to cover, so we're going to go do that right now.
All right.
Oh, hey!
Yeah.
Hello, fam. Welcome. Let's do this. All right. Slide. It's actually 2 in the slide deck.
Okay. So all this slide's showing is kind of the aligned mission. So we're starting off and we just show that you've got the Air Force Reserve Command, our NAF, 10th Air Force, the 926 Wing, and then 726 OG mission. And so what we're just trying to show here is how we're aligned in line with the missions of all of the organizations above us. What I would like to point out about our mission, however, is just some of the specifics of the elements that we put in the mission and what it means to you. So first is mission ready. And that's just you guys being ready to go do that job, that mission that you're tasked with every single day. And so that's our mission, and you guys are executing that flawlessly. The second piece is the citizen airmen, and that's we'll talk a little bit more about this, but it's really important to us. It's one of our focus items to make sure that this is a mission that people can have their civilian job, have their families, and also accomplish this mission. So we're really focused on making sure this is a citizen airman mission. And then fly, fight, and win through persistent attacks. So persistent attack is that MQ-9, the combat squadrons here at Creech. Reconnaissance is partially the MQ-9, but that is also our RQ-4 mission out at Beale, where they're doing high altitude ISR. And then finally training. And so that's an FTU piece that's out at Beale. It's also at Holloman and the DET here at Creech. So everybody in the 726 OG has a piece of that mission that we're trying to cover with our mission statement. So that's just showing the aligned mission.
Yeah, that's the piece that we wanted to highlight for you to take away is we want to make sure that as you're sitting there and you're going through this in your squadrons that this is relatable to you, and that it's not just a bunch of slides and a bunch of words that you're like, I could care less. But as we go through these inspections and stuff like that, the one that's probably most important to remember is that 726 OG mission. So we tried to make that in the way that the colonel broke it down is perfect, to where you can remember through walking through each of the squadrons what our mission statement actually is here. So with that, we will go to slide 3.
So slide 3 is just, again, showing our aligned vision. Again, the Air Force Reserve Command, NAF, and Wing. And then our vision being empowering motivated and innovative citizen airmen to achieve RPA mission excellence in support of U.S. national security objectives. So that's where we're trying to go and where we're trying to take the group. Okay, moving on to Wing Commander priorities. So these are the things that our Wing Commander is focused on. I've stolen this phrase from one of my former commanders, but whatever my interests my boss fascinates me. So really important that we are in line with what Colonel Schultz wants to accomplish with the Wing. So starting with the first one, mission focus. Again, we knocked this one out of the park. So there's a few things that we would like to do to assist you guys in that mission focus. So we'll cover some of those. But that's definitely the number one priority for the Wing Commander is a focus on the mission. Second one is improving the unit. He wants us to do this by making the best choices with what we've been given. And so we'll go through some of those areas that we're focused on as far as improving the unit. Third is taking care of airmen and families, providing an environment where one can learn, develop, work, and have fun. So we'll talk about what we're going to do in those areas. And then finally, strengthen bonds with mission partners, building on mission accomplishment, respect for organizational competencies, and professional conduct. And we're going to do these a little bit out of order just because we feel that some of the building relationships with mission partners falls in line with improving that mission focus. So it won't be quite in this order, but we'll cover all 4 areas.
Yeah, and I think that this is something to remember and hold on to this slide for if you're ever asking for something from the Wing. If we're going to go to the Wing and ask for something extra, some new materials, some new process or something like that, we want to try to fit it into one of these 4 areas. And if we can fit it into these 4 areas and how it it hits these priorities. That's the wing commander's priorities, so it fits right into the direction that he wants to go with the wing. So we're more likely to get it if we ask in the correct way, and it's in one of these four categories.
All right, so this is one of the first priorities that he has, and then we're going to get into our lines of effort that are aligned under that priority. So for the first priority, mission focus, our first line of effort in that area is going to be readiness. And so this is a key word you're going to hear all across Air Force Reserve Command. Everybody is focused on readiness. So what does that mean for us? One of the ways that we've done that at the group is to make sure that what we're having our squadron commanders report to us is in line with some of the measures of effectiveness that the wing commander has laid out. So we have done, again, transparent to you guys don't normally see the monthly reporting, but we've sort of aligned and focused our staff meetings to make sure that we are reporting to the wing commander how we're doing in those areas that he wants us to focus on. The second one is defining policies, processes to ensure sustained readiness versus chasing readiness. And what we mean by that is making sure that we have a MUTA excusal policy, a UTA excusal policy, to make sure that people understand what the purpose of the UTA is and to hopefully align better with what the wing commander expects so that you guys don't get caught in what we like to call role conflict. So while you guys are executing the mission, you hear us talking a lot about readiness, and you're like, kind of ready to do what? We're doing the mission. And what this means from a reserve perspective, what Air Force Reserve Command thinks readiness is, it's all of the IMR, your physical fitness assessment, your PHA, all those things that we consider a green and ready reservist, is making sure all those things are done. And so that's the purpose of the UTA. That's what most of the rest of Air Force Reserve Command comes in on their 1 week in a month to focus on. And so we understand that you guys are here a lot more than 1 week in a month, but those are the items that we expect to be accomplished on the UTA. So we want to make sure that those things are staying green so that when we go to the wing commander and say, hey, we'd like to excuse our reservists from more than 4 UTAs because, they're working MPA, or, this MUTA that's coming up, we have people that are involved in the mission, that we can show that readiness that the wing commander expects us to be tracking and to make sure that you guys are green on, that we can go, hey, look, they're meeting the intent of the UTA, so give us this excusal, and we'll get that for you guys. So that's one of the things that we're trying to focus on there, with trying to make sure that we're staying ahead of readiness instead of chasing it.
Yeah, the more disciplined you are, the more freedom we can give you. So the more disciplined you are at staying green and getting things in on time, and not just getting them in on time, but being accurate with what you're getting in, and first time, doing things right the first time. The more disciplined you are in that, the more freedom we can give you to have some leniency with UTAs or reschedules or stuff like that.
All right.
Slide 6.
So this one is another line of effort under that mission focus, and that's force presentation. And this is sort of a higher level. You probably won't see the effects of this, but you probably heard some talk about it in relation to the 3rd Squadron. And what we're really trying to do is clarifying what exactly is our tasking. What are we expected to do? What should we be ready to do? And there's been a lot of agreements in the past, but there's really nothing that is in writing from the highest levels. It's kind of been more of a local agreement and isn't necessarily in line with how we're manned as an organization, and in line with utilization rates that reservists are typically expected to work within. So we're working through our NAF, through the MAGCOM, and through what we call the Tiger Team process to try and really clarify what it is that RegAF wants us to do, and then ensure that AFRC mans us appropriately to do that tasking, and then to codify that, and we'll get to that in a minute. So that's what we're working on. It also, you'll probably hear some talk about UTC taskings and some DX coding, and really all that is just making sure that in the system of record that AFRC has us presented right, presents our forces so that if they need to utilize us, they know how we're being tasked, if we're tasked, and that, again, like I said, we have the appropriate manning for what they're expecting us to do. Part of this as it matters to you is making sure that the work that you guys are doing, that you are actually getting credit for that in the system of record. And so we want to make sure that those systems are aligned appropriately so that your military record reflects accurately that you've done what you've done. And then the last one is just kind of reporting and making sure, again, that it appears that, in the system, while we know how hard we're working and we know what we're doing here to accomplish the mission, Air Force Reserve Command is quite far removed from us. And so that system is one of the only ways to actually communicate what it is that we're tasked to do and what we are doing right now. And so we need to get that accurately reflected in the system.
Yeah, this is just, that's why it's under mission focus. You'll see a lot of support stuff that's on this slide. And that is just getting you guys to the point where you can focus on the mission, to where you don't have to worry about everything else, that you can focus solely on the mission, and that you guys are getting credit where credit is deserved and where it's earned. And so, and getting the proper benefits that you've earned, and that there's no disputing them. So we're trying to clear the roadblocks so that the mission can be done with ease and not be wasting your time.
And you guys might have seen kind of a mobilization tasker that came down a few months ago. And I think, again, from my perspective, that tasker came down to us incorrectly. And I think it was because, again, the system isn't showing the taskings that you guys are actually working right now. And so, again, another reason we need to get that corrected is so that those taskings don't come down to a unit that, in essence, is already tasked. So hopefully we'll get that fixed.
Slide 7.
All right, so this is where we kind of go out of order a little bit with the commander's priorities, and we're going to move on to strengthening bonds with mission partners. So the first line of effort that we're pursuing kind of goes along with what I just talked about as far as making sure that our force presentation is correct, and then capturing what the tasking is into a document that's a formal document recognized by both ACC and AFRC. So you'll hear talk about A plans. And that is something that we've existed without 9 years. Why do we need it now? Well, it kind of leads to a lot of this confusion about what is it we're really tasked to provide, and are we manned for it? And so capturing that into an A plan, it formalizes it, and now everybody's working off the same sheet of music. We know exactly, all the way up through both ACC and AFRC, what we're expected to provide to our mission partner. So that is the A plan, and then along with that, the MOU just gets into the specifics. The Memorandum of Understanding gets into the specifics of how we work that out with the 732nd Operations Group. But really, that A plan is key, so we've got two commands agreeing on what our tasking is.
Yeah, we kind of played the telephone game from several 06s ago and chiefs ago of, hey, this is what we believe the agreements we've agreed upon. And then when we did the SATAF, what we realized was what ACC thought we were supposed to be doing, what 10th Air Force thought we were supposed to be doing, and what AFRIC thinks we're doing, compared to what we're actually doing at the group levels, and what we think we're supposed to be doing was off. So that will clear up so much, and it will alleviate this whole we're pushing throttles full forward and somebody else is asking us to push them further, and we just don't have that. And so as far as the number 2 there, improve and foster GSU relationships, this is something that we both have a passion for because we both came from GSUs. And we know that sometimes when you're out there, you're kind of on an island, and you're serving many masters with locally, and then here, and then AFRIC and everywhere. And so we want to make sure that we're coming out in your space. And in Q1, we did that. We came out to the 429th and the 13th, and we did a visit, and we try to make it a little more normal that we're in your spots. And we also, when we come and we do those things, we want to hand out those awards and stuff like that. So you won't see us doing the kind of traditional getting up on stage and handing awards to everyone in front of the other reservists. What we want to do is come to your places and your spaces where you're at, and who you work with on a day-to-day basis, and we want to hand those awards so that they see that you're getting recognized, and that we recognize the great work that you're doing in these places at your space that you work. In Q2, we did a leadership offsite and the MQ9 summit. The leadership offsite, we got some great reviews from it. We got some great ways forward, and we also, it was very enlightening, I think, for all of us to get some different perspectives and to kind of join together and kind of get a shared model of how we want to move forward and how to leadership and development moving forward. And so you'll probably see more of those, and we want to kind of incorporate some more people maybe next time and just kind of work with those leadership offsites to really make sure that we're pushing in the right direction in the future. Quarter 3, we're scheduled to come out. The 8th through the 12th is what we're scheduled right now. It's going to be a great tour. We're going to come off of the Muta, turn right back around, get on an airplane on Sunday night, and fly out to, I believe, Holloman, and then we're going to end up at Beale on Wednesday night, or on Wednesday sometime, and be there for the rest of the week. And so we're looking forward to that, looking forward to coming out and passing out some awards and seeing you guys, seeing your faces. And again, what we hope to accomplish with this is that we're approachable, that you can come to us and ask us questions, and you see us in your spaces to where you feel comfortable that when we're asking you to do something, you know who we are. We want you to see us. We want you to challenge us on things that you don't think are that are right or that you don't understand, and let us answer those questions. And so we can't wait to see you, and this is probably the one of the great parts that we get to do with our job, is to travel out and see you guys. And then quarter 4, everybody's telling us already that we're out of money, but I've been in the reserve for 19 years, almost 20 years, and every year I've been told that we're out of money. But so this is no different than that one, but this one seems to have a different tone. So we will see where the funding ends up. We thought with coming out of continuing resolution that we'd be better off, but things have kind of taken a turn. So who knows? Quarter 4, we may all be building a wall or doing something crazy like that. We don't know. So
An inclusive wall.
An inclusive wall that includes every squadron that's out there. All right, slide 8.
All right, so moving on to the priority of improving the unit. So our first line of effort is to develop standardized key processes. This is, we hope to be time saving in the end. The more standardized, the more quickly things move through, the less time things are kicked back. We really want to make sure that we're a conduit, not a roadblock. So one way that we got after this one was being very selective, if I can use Chief Parks terminology, about who we hired on staff. We really wanted to make sure we had people in those positions who were experts that were going to lead, give good guidance to those areas in your squadrons that are responsible for their functions. And so we've got our staff in place, minus an RA, but we're hopeful on the RA side. And then we went to an offsite to really make sure that they felt they knew our direction and that they were empowered to get after some of the things that we need to get fixed in the group. And so that staff offsite happened a few months ago, and I think you probably will see some of the effects of that in your squadrons as far as hopefully improvements in some of the support functions. The second thing that you're going to see ongoing right now is that the SAPM's doing a deep dive. So Major Laird is filling that role right now, and Sergeant Merriman is assisting. And we'll probably see maybe a CPI event from Mr. Gruber from the wing. And what we're trying to do is really identify how we're doing on some of the write-ups from our last inspection. Is there things that maybe we still need some help in? Are there areas where we're taking a lot of risk? And so we're going to try and get some processes, either prioritize what we think is really broken, or if there is not one in existence, and kind of get after some of those things. So we're just getting ready. We have a vertical inspection coming in April, and that's just our approach to making sure that we're on the right track for that inspection.
Cool. Yeah, it's we want to stop wasting your time, and we want to stop wasting effort. And so that's part of this whole standardizing and these functionals, is they are the colonel's voice. And so if you're getting emails from them, you should take that as you're getting an email from her, and so respond with the same amount of promptness, the same amount of respect. And so she has really laid out the expectations for all of us on how we want this to run, and we want this to be an efficient machine to where we don't waste your guys' time at all.
One touch. That's the goal.
Slide 9. We're almost there.
All right. So this is continuing on with the priority of improving the unit. Our second line of effort is to get the units and the group manning and functional alignment all resolved. So we're still in the progress with the third squadron. We're making some progress with the AFRC. So that isn't finalized yet. As soon as we have a final decision, we know the timing and the direction and what that manpower is going to look like, we'll make sure we get to that to you. it's under debate because the decision that was made was not, in my opinion, the correct manning, and so we've been arguing for that correct manning, and that's taken some time to work up through the chain. So it's starting to move, and hopefully we'll have a better idea. But just realize that nothing's going to happen quickly. We're looking at least, year to 2 year kind of timelines. Money has to get programmed. Positions have to get funded. So this is a slow process. Nothing's going to happen quickly. So we'll let you know in plenty of time to know what to expect as far as that 3rd Squadron goes. We're also working heavily right now on the CSS manpower variants. So as you guys are aware, and we're painfully aware, our commander support staff manning, they took a lot of that manpower away from us, and we've been hurt in that area, and we know a lot of you have been having to fill in pilot sensors intel to fill in that area. And so I have reached out to both space and intel to try and gather forces for employed in place units and trying to get a variance for other units that are like we are, where we're working, basically when we're activated, when we're working, we stay in place, we don't deploy forward. And so that manpower study is going on right now, or it starts in the spring. But anyway, we have an inject into that, and hopefully we'll be able to provide some data to get our CSS manned appropriately. We're also trying to resolve some of the additional functions that we need support. It may be in an OSS, that's what we're proposing, but really it's trying to get intel, some medical support, plans, the SAPM, just bring all of that up into an organization at the group that can hopefully provide better support to both the mission as well as to our squadrons. And so we're working that aspect as well. We're tracking on the enlisted pilot implementation timelines. The 13th is the first that will be affected. That conversion is already going on in the RQ4 community. But the Chief of Staff of the Air Force has basically in essence said that that's too small of a community. So they're looking at it to determine whether or not they're just going to, in essence, scrap the plan, or they have to expand it into other mission sets. And so they're looking at that. There's another report, I think, that was due to Congress in March. So we're keeping an eye on that to see what the Chief of Staff and what Congress decides to do with enlisted pilots. And then the final piece is we'd like to come back in to the 429th and take a look at their full-time, part-time manpower. With pilots and sensors, it's a little bit off, and so we'd like to do some adjustments there. So those are some of the areas that we're looking to correct manning and functional alignment. And then the last one, line of effort.
Yeah, so all of these is the personnel and pay systems access. We're trying to get as much control, but the reason why we say control, we want to be able to have access to all of the systems that affect you. And the reason why is we want to be responsible for those. We want the buck to stop with us and the staff that we've built here, to where when things aren't going right, that we can fix them, but also so that we know that they're done right the first time through these processes and procedures that we're putting in place. And so we want to make sure that again, we're clearing roadblocks and people that are standing in the way. And it's one of the fights that we fight probably most frequently, is trying to get more access for our individuals to have to be able to better serve you here at the group. And the group should be a place that makes things easier for you. We've already got some wins with the uniform accounts at Holloman and the 13th, and so Holloman and Beale, and so we're making sure that you guys are getting the same treatment that we get here as far as being able to go and get uniforms and stuff like that. So we'll continue to fight that fight.
And then that next slide, it just flows right into it. It's the same line of effort, but it also affects taking care of airmen and families. We think, again, making sure that you guys get paid on time, and that your records are correct, that you're meeting promotion boards because your records are correctly reflecting what date that you should be recognized, that those are all correct. And so we have that kind of a parallel line of effort under this final priority. The second line of effort is fostering a citizen airman culture. And we talked about that as far as our mission statement. And again, this is a big emphasis item for both Chief and I, is we really want to make sure that people who want to work on the outside and have a civilian job can also participate and be part of this mission and part of this group. And so we're really focused on making sure that this is a culture that allows that encourages that there are opportunities for everyone, regardless of your status. If you're interested in stepping up and doing something extra, we want to make sure that you have that opportunity.
Yeah, I think with that one too is, if I can interject here,
Absolutely.
is that some squadrons are doing better than others just because of the nature of the beast and how things have developed and stuff like that. And so that's one of the things that we talked about at the offsite, is gathering best practices from some squadrons and passing them on to others. And the other squadrons realizing and noticing that, hey, we don't really have that citizen airman experience, but we want it. We want to have that. And so that citizen airman culture and the Reserve 101 and just all of those things are coming from what we're getting from you guys is what's going to make us a little more well-rounded and help as we transition into some more civilian opportunities that are out there, to make sure that we're being good employers on this side of the house.
Exactly, and that leads right into improving reserve leadership employer relationships. So we just want to make sure that we're being proactive with the different civilian employers that are out there, to make sure that again, we have a good relationship with them, that they understand what we're asking from you, and that we can work together so that you guys don't end up being in the middle of that, two employers demanding and pulling you in two different directions. And so as additional opportunities are arising, we think it's important to make sure that we're taking a proactive role in building those relationships with civilian employers. And then along those lines is the third one, and this is something that you'll see rolled out over the UTA, and that is a wing patch policy. So a lot of us started out in a reserve that was really working to sort of prove that we're just as good as the RegAF, that we bring something to the table that's valuable. And I think that we, over the last, again, 9 years that we've been in existence, as far as in this RPA community, maybe even a little bit longer in the RQ4 community, but I think we've established that reputation. And sometimes you're so good at what you do that you actually blend right in, and sometimes that RegAF doesn't realize what the reserve is doing for them. And so the pendulum swings, and it's swinging to one side of the aisle, where I think it's really important that the RegAF is recognizing the reservists in their workplace and the contribution that they're making. And so one small way of doing that is just making sure that the patches that we are wearing reflect who we are. And so that's the reason that we're going to put out a policy where everyone will be wearing the 926 wing patch. So we've counted, and we have enough for everybody to have one. And so this UTA, you should have those either in your workspace for the MUTA, or when we come out to visit after the MUTA, we'll bring them with us.
Sorry, and it's one of those things of having pride in what we do, and the ownership, pride in the ownership, and just we're all here by choice. And so we want to make sure that, like you said, we're recognized on our bases for what we're doing there. And then deliberately developing the next generation squadron and group of leaders. This was one of the main focuses of our leadership offsite. And we'll say that those of you that are out there that are working hard in your squadrons and want to be those next leaders, your leaders are recognizing that. This was a hard thing to do, was to try to figure out who the next leaders were, because there's so many of you out there that are doing great things and just on that cusp of taking that next step. And we're just trying to make sure that when we're developing individuals, to where when we leave and when your leaders in front of you leave and stuff like that, that you guys are a lot better than what we are. And so, and you're a lot better trained, and you're a lot more well-rounded than we are, and just ready to take the 726 operations group to the next level. Thank you guys for being here. We know that you had a choice to be here, and you had a choice, maybe not for the MUTA because it's mandatory, but you have a choice to be in the 726 operation group in the squadrons that you're in. And I would say that take this time and look around. It's not often that we get to gather like this, but look around and see the new people and see things that have changed, and take some ownership. Learn those new people, learn about them, and learn what they're all about and why they're there, and learn their stories, and then take some ownership in your squadron and see something that needs to be fixed and fix it this MUTA. And make this time worth your while. So thank you guys.
And I'd just like to say thank you as well. I know everybody's time is very valuable. You have civilian jobs, you have a very busy ops tempo here in the squadron, and then you also have time that you're trying to balance with your families. And so this is a MUTA where families can be involved. So if it works out and you guys can do that, kids have a deployment line, they also have the picnic. And so this would be an opportunity to bring your families into your workspace as well, and for everyone to get to know each other. So I appreciate it. I appreciate your hard work. I appreciate your focus on the mission. You make that part of my job extremely easy. And I just want to say thanks and have a good MUTA.